Yeah. Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Everybody.
On last week's podcast, and by last week's podcast, I mean 3 weeks ago's podcast.
Wait, what do you mean? On last week's podcast, we talked about life on Mars.
We did. Wait,
and how that's been going for us. Yeah.
We were on Mars?
Well, it's a Mars exclusive podcast, so anyone with Earth internet couldn't see it. But if you guys are, privileged enough to have Mars internet like ourselves, then I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. And welcome back to this week's episode. We're back on Earth.
We've
on landed.
Earth. As intended.
Yeah, you didn't see? Yesterday, bro, we landed. Elon himself welcomed us back home.
Oh, boy. Elon's a hot topic these days, isn't he?
Well, I was actually not even thinking of making that a reference, but then kind of worked out because literally yesterday, I don't know if you saw, but the SpaceX Dragon or whatever rocket landed back on Earth.
It did.
And they took I was watching it live. It was pretty interesting. They took 2 hours to open the hatch. And everyone in the stream chat was like, oh my God, it's going to be aliens.
It's going to be
Bro, there's COVID-20. They're going to open the hatch and it's COVID-20.
It's the cure. I had no idea about that, actually. But then again, that's my own fault because I haven't really been paying attention to any news at all this past week. Now that I got my
That's
charger
fine. I got you with the news. You got us with the salty, sultry stories.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty much going to be all from my side. So just to, explain why there was a quote-unquote hiatus in the podcast is because it actually wasn't a fucking hiatus. It was my dumbass who went on vacation for a week. That was, the first week of hiatus. And then when I got back, I had realized that I brought everything back. Because whenever I go on a trip or I go somewhere, I usually always forget one thing. Luckily, it's usually never something super important, or at least it's something easily replaceable. But this time, I remembered everything. Like the food I bought over there. I even brought back the food I bought over there. I brought back all the drinks, all my Xbox and all of its components, everything. My laptop.
Damn.
Except the one thing I forgot to bring was the charger.
Got a house on wheels
for my fucking work laptop.
Wait, so you left it at your vacation spot, right?
Yep.
Because last we heard from you, I think that was in the last podcast, you were going to go to a nice little trip with the homies, right?
Yep. And it was not even that far, just a 5 hour, a 5 hour drive.
I mean, for Puerto Rico, that's pretty far.
Yeah, that's pretty far in Puerto
the whole
Rico
island's
standards.
4 hours across, so...
Yeah. So it's pretty much almost to the other end of the island. A 5 hour drive to this Airbnb in Ponce. We were keeping our social distances. We didn't actually go anywhere. It was pretty much just trying to get out of our usual space and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we were in the Airbnb the entire time because it had a private pool there and everything, so we could do whatever we wanted there without having to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I was about to say, not even the beach, dog. I don't think I could have resisted. I mean, obviously you want a social distance still, but I don't think I could have resisted the beach.
It's just the beaches in Ponce aren't really that good. They're notoriously
yeah, exactly.
not
and
good.
I didn't know that you had a pool in that bitch like that. Yeah, that makes up for it for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we were just chilling there, cooking fancy foods and just hanging out and just taking a much needed break. But that all immediately got ruined after I realized the fact that I came back home and I didn't have my fucking charger. So all the stress I relieved from being over there just immediately piled back on. So I pretty much defeated the whole
Canceled
point of going
your
on
own vacation.
Yeah, I completely defeated the whole idea of me going on that vacation as a stress relief, just to immediately pile back on all the stress. Because it was immediate, man. It was just oh my God. Now I won't be able to upload Mario. Now we won't be able to do the podcast. God knows when I'm going to be able to get that charger back. Because, I actually had to get it sent to me through the mail. And, it kind of took a while to get here because of how all the COVID-19 situation is. Mailing isn't exactly as quick as it usually is. So it took a bit to get here, but I finally got it back
And
here.
driving 5 hours did not probably sound too appealing, did it?
Well, driving 5 hours when you don't have a car, because we went to that Airbnb.
It would have been 10 hours on top of that.
Yeah, 10 exactly, because it's to and from. And we went there in a friend's car that started giving trouble on the way back from the trip. So it wasn't exactly like hey, can we go over there again so I could pick this up? So no, I had to get it sent through the mail because there was no way for me to go and pick it up. If not, honestly, I would have just, I would have swallowed, the tough pill and just gone and get it for the sake of.
I'm assuming if you had your own car, I would have done it too.
Oh yeah, immediately.
Even if it's.
Even in my car that doesn't even have air conditioning, I would have still done it. But since I don't have a ride right now, it's still in the shop. Well, I couldn't go do that, and that pretty much explains why there was such a big gap in our content release recently. Just like
if that ain't just like 2020 in a nutshell right there, huh? You finally think like, oh, I can catch a break from all this like shit that's been going on in the world and in life, and then that does not sound like the cherry on top.
Yeah. That's legit it, man. It's been but what I could say is, like, I still felt guilty about it, that now I wouldn't be able to, like, get some work done, but there is a positive side to it. I was at least able, until the charger got here, I had a bit of an excuse of just like, all right, then I'm just going to do nothing until I get my charger back. So I quote unquote,
that's true,
extended my vacation a little bit, and I just spent it like binging a whole bunch of anime I've had on the back burner, watching some movies I've been wanting to watch, and watching some shows on Amazon. Just keeping up with like media stuff so I could have a lot to talk about when we finally come back to the podcast and start doing content again.
That's good, man, because sometimes I feel like vacation at home can be even better than actually going somewhere, at least for me, because I don't know, whenever I'm the same, like what you just said, I like games and shows and stuff, and I never have time to catch up on them. And like when you go on an actual vacation, you don't really do that either. You want to enjoy the place that you're at. So I mean, it can be nice, just a little R&R at home.
Yeah, it was nice, because like the reason I went on that vacation is because obviously I wanted to be with my friends too, and we mostly did a lot of stuff. But like definitely having that time here just on my own at home, catching up on doing the things I actually like to do and all that kind of stuff was really refreshing. Like
so what does Vacation Gabe look like?
Vacation Gabe looks like pretty much everyday Gabe, except he's not on his computer all the time. I was just laying in bed watching Netflix and Crunchyroll and Amazon Prime Video all day, or playing fucking video games, eating whatever the fuck I wanted, and just like pretty much not talking to anybody. Like I just went radio silent.
Fucking making me jealous out here, dude.
I didn't want to say it, but you asked, man. You asked. I mean,
that's like my dream, like vacation. Honestly, like I like going out and like, especially with family or friends, it's nice. But personal vacation, I guess you could say, is like it just hits different,
It does, and I think that's just like the situation. I think how there's like extroverts and introverts. I think we fall more in like the ambivert area, where we like going out and we like being around people, but you also
need that time alone.
We also need that time alone, dude. Especially me since I have ADHD, there's some times where like I just need to be on my own to collect my thoughts and stop them from like going crazy all the time and just distracting myself. And that's kind of hard to do when I'm with company, because when I'm with company, I'm always thinking about like, what can I do to keep the entertainment going, the conversation flowing? What can we do to have fun? And sometimes, one of the symptoms of ADHD is just like this really insane lack of motivation to do anything. And like part of ADHD is learning how to like kind of power through that when you need to. And that's something I feel when I'm with other people. There are sometimes when I'm with other people and I would really prefer to just do nothing. Not necessarily even be alone, but I feel like I'd have a lot more fun just sitting with people and doing nothing than like thinking about, let's go to the beach, or let's go watch a movie, or let's go walk around in the mall. Sometimes I'm just like, let's just fucking I don't know, sit down in a couch and watch.
You just
something on
gotta
fucking
empty
Netflix or
your
Crunchyroll or something.
mind.
And necessary, yeah, essentially, and that's kind of like my recharge. That's how I like recharge and get myself back into a headspace and like where I want to be, and that kind of stuff.
That's good, man. What did you end up catching up on then, or like what animes have you been into?
Well, okay, so I binged through like all of Black Clover. It was good.
Oh boy,
it's decent. It's decent. I won't say it's any kind of spectacular anime, but it definitely didn't feel like a waste of time. I watched through Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh,
yeah, all of it.
I mean, like, that's an interesting one because when you say like, oh, I finally caught up on all these shows, I'm thinking like, oh, he's got some new stuff for me to
like
check
the
out.
Old stuff that I like binge through and all that stuff, but you know, but new, there's this new show called Rent a Girlfriend on Crunchyroll, and I'm a huge sucker for rom-com animes, so I immediately fell into it. But I really like this one because it's very different. It kind of like it subverts the tropes of usual rom-com animes without exactly like intentionally trying to subvert them. It's not like a second half of Game of Thrones kind of subverting expectation where they're kind of doing it on purpose. This one feels more.
You mean
just
the show that completely ruined that term for everyone?
Exactly. This is more.
Well, that in
just
Star
like,
Wars.
The characters feel real. Like you look at these characters and you say, okay, finally some anime characters who like I believe their behaviors and their reactions without it being absolutely miserable. Because I feel like a lot of animes that do that whole thing, like portraying quote unquote realism, and this also happens in just like general media. To them, realism equals awful, like everything's bad, when really that's just like misery porn,
like just very, very dark.
Yeah, and
like
very
what's the word? Nihilist kind of, or
nihilist.
I don't know.
There's an anime
Very
called
pessimistic.
Scum's Wish that's very that way, but no, this one is just like it keeps that comedic, lighthearted tone, but it does tackle very real themes of just like toxic relationships, manipulation. Like when you're young and you're first starting into relationship, confusing infatuation with actual like love. When people go into relationships just for sex rather than actual intimacy, but still like keeping it funny and lighthearted to a point where it's just like, well, now I just feel bad, So it's called Rent a Girlfriend. I recommend it if you're into like rom-com animes.
I was about to say, like, what was the name? Because the name doesn't sound at all like what the concept you describe. I would think it's like almost like not isekai, but something similar, like, so how they always have that
like,
show.
Based on the title, it sounds silly, right? Like Rent a Girlfriend. And the basic premise is there's this guy, and this is the other refreshing part. It takes place in college. It's not like in high school, which is pretty much every rom-com anime. Pretty much.
That's good, because it sounds very adult, and I'm like, it doesn't sound like it would fit with the high schoolers. I'm tired of
going through 3 seasons of character development just so characters can kiss once. You know what I mean? Yeah. And these characters are actually just like, yo, I'm fucking horny. It's actually like what actual like young adults think about. So it's this guy who's in college and he's like,
hey, come on, man. You gotta give him some credit. Like maybe that's just how we horn dogs over here in the West are.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that, but okay. A whole subculture of hentai defined by a single country would disagree with you, but okay.
No, they've been horny bonked already for their sins. All right, that's why in real life they're so tame. They put all of their like fantasies into the comics.
They keep them in check. Yeah, but it's this guy who had his first girlfriend now in college, and then he just suddenly gets dumped after a month, and only getting as far as a first kiss. So like obviously he's fucking sad and miserable. But it's like it's such a real misery, dude, because like literally the first scene is this guy getting dumped, and then he starts imagining like the girl already being with another guy.
Oh no.
And like obviously this is not a thing most people tend to admit, but he's such a virgin like soy boy that the thought of his ex-girlfriend being with another guy turned him on anyway, and then he's like, how much of a loser do I gotta be that I'm over here heartbroken, and I imagine my girlfriend getting boinked, and I'm still just like, I mean, it's kind of
Oh no.
it's kind of a turn on though. But like he realizes that that's absolutely like fucking pathetic. So
But it's still happening.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And so like he discovers this like service where you go out with a girl from the service and you go out on like this very ideal, wholesome kind of date. You know, it's not, you know, it's not sexual and all that stuff. It's just kind of just like, you know, what people are calling it is like emotional prostitution, I guess, but it's more kind of just like, you know, it's just like you go out, you have a date with this girl, and then you pay for it, and then you rate them. So it's like a dating service. And
so it's Tinder.
Exactly, Tinder, but you pay for it, and then you get absolutely no
you rate
gratification
after the date instead of before.
So, like, he goes on this date, and he meets this girl who's, like, the girl protagonist, and whatever, they have this ideal date, and blah, blah, blah. It's super nice. But then, obviously, at the end of the date, when he pays for it, and he realizes that, like, he sees other reviews of the girls, and he sees that all these other people had the same experience, obviously, he feels like an idiot. But, you know, quote unquote, that's his own fault. He knew what he was getting into. So he goes on.
So this is like a social commentary
exactly. And then
men are all innately cucks.
We're all simps. At some point, we're all simps.
That's what this anime sounds like.
Yeah, it's Simp Boy the anime. But the cool thing is, like, eventually he goes on like on a second date with the other girl, and this time he kind of like gives her shit about it. And you would think it would be one of those situations where the girl's just like, oh no, but actually you're different and I like you. You know, you'd think it would be like that. But the girl actually goes off on him. Like, hey, you fucking dumbass. Damn. Like, you paid for me to do this shit for you. I don't give a fuck what the hell's going on in your life. You knew what you were getting into. Don't give me shit for doing my job. And then, like, obviously the guy's just like, oh, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. That's true. But they end up getting into this situation that makes them have to pretend that they're actually together. I'm not going to go into the details of what happens. But they end up getting into this really, like, parent-trappy situation where they actually have to pretend that they're together for a little bit. But the cool thing about the anime, it actually shows this realistic progression of this guy who's initially this very virgin-y, miserable guy who won't admit that he's really only going after relationships for sex because he doesn't want to be a virgin anymore, to actually like learning to value real connections between people, and, you know, the value of what's the real value of sexual intimacy versus actual emotional mental intimacy. It gets, you know, it's very lighthearted and comedic, but it gets into those real themes in a very believable way. You know, it's only 4 episodes right now, but I liked it so much that I binged the manga.
Wait, 4 episodes?
Yeah, it's new. It's coming out recently. It's still, like, airing.
Oh, it's still airing.
Yeah, but
I thought that was it. Like, season 1 is only 4 episodes.
No,
like,
but I got so hooked
definitely
that
interesting.
I just binged the whole manga in a night, dude. 150 chapters. It's not finished yet. Like, the manga's still going, but I binged through 150 chapters in one night because of how much I liked it.
Look at you, little fucking reader.
Huge weeb boy. I know. Like, I'm exposing myself hardcore right now. And, like...
No, but that, like, it sounds actually interesting because recently I was watching some Asian boss videos. I don't know if you've ever heard of that YouTube channel.
No.
But they do, like, a lot of Japanese culture. Like, they interview people on the streets about certain topics.
I've seen
or they
other
talk
channels
with, like...
that are that way, though. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And there was one where... they were interviewing this guy who his company is basically what you just said, is rent a girlfriend or rent a family. Oh. And it sounds super weird, right? But this is like actually a successful thing in Japan.
Yeah,
because
it is. They call it like emotional prostitution or whatever. They use a lot of words for it. But yeah, it's like this, it's like selling emotional connections.
It sounds super bizarre, but like, for example, this one guy, his wife like died from like I don't know, she was sick, right? And he was taking care of her up until she died. But like after it happened, his kids left home, so he was left alone basically.
Oh wow.
And his kids don't want to talk to him, like they're excommunicated because of like, I don't know, if you want to watch the whole video, basically like his kids thought that he wasn't taking care of the mom, and then he thought the kids weren't doing it, so they don't talk anymore. So he lives alone at home, and he's like widowed, so it must be a pretty lonely life.
Yeah. Oh God.
And yeah, he has a wife and a daughter that aren't actually his wife and daughter. They're actors.
Oh, he's cucking his kids.
Oh god. It's really weird, but like when you hear about it from his words, it kind of makes sense, but from an outside perspective, you just feel like he's like feeding even more into the loneliness.
Yeah,
like
into
that
the
just
misery.
It sounds kind of depressing, but I don't know, it works for him, and he has hopes that one day it's going to help him get over like the loss, and he'll be able to reach out to his kids
with
again.
His kids, yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
I see it. Hey, man, if it works for you, it works for you. It's I think it's that difference of being able to distinguish whether this is more of an immediate emotional gratification or you actually see this as part of the process of your healing and eventually to grow past it. I think that's where the difference lies. Like having a reliance on this versus using it as a stepping stone to progress.
Yep. And that's exactly like there's other cases where you can tell more clearly that they're just feeding into the negative side of it, and they're probably, it's not a good thing to be doing it. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of idol cafes too.
Oh, yep.
Or idol bars. I think they call them bars or clubs or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's basically, it's very similar where mainly they have them for guys too, but obviously guys, well, to before any of this, like obviously I think guys mainly when they're looking for, they're maybe more looking for the physical side, but when it comes to girls that are looking for just to pay for like a romance, it's mainly that, the like emotional or like romantic side. So they have these cafes where you go in and pay and you get to hang out with a guy, basically like a super hot guy in Japanese standards, I guess.
Yeah.
And they just like drink and hang out with you, and everything that you do that night, you're paying for them. It's really kind of bizarre. And I think mainly like rich college girls who, I don't know, I guess they can't find a boyfriend, or they're not very socially like,
they feel like they're
not very good
inept.
at dating, I guess. I don't know. That sounds mean, but that's what I caught from watching the video. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, it's like an emotional escort service.
Basically, that's what I was trying to say. It's the equivalent of the male like escorts or like the love hotels or whatever, but girls obviously aren't looking as much to just get piped.
Yeah, I guess.
They're trying to go on like a date and shit, you know?
They're not trying to fucking get laid down.
And at least according to like, they interview like the people that work there, like the manager and stuff, and they say that they can sleep with their clients, but that's up to them. You know, like the client can't straight up be like, all right, you're gonna fuck me now, like,
baby, you're gonna have to pay some extra. No, but yeah, no, it's super interesting, like looking at the intricacies of like other quote unquote first world like countries and their culture and like the differences, because like at least in our Western culture, North American culture, that'd be the kind of shit that you look at and you go like, all right, that's for weirdos. But over there is just kind of just like, it's a thing, because I feel like Japan very much has this very disconnected view on society where people don't tend to be very upfront with their actual thoughts, feelings, and intentions. Everything is about like appearances and not getting in other people's way. So a lot of the times when a Japanese person is saying yes, they actually mean no. So like you could see how they have this very like, as you would say, under the table kind of value for seeking actual emotional or quote unquote physical gratification that they're usually not able to get on a day-to-day basis in society. And it's fucking really interesting to look at from an outside lens, man. And sometimes it's really hard to understand. Like, I'm not even gonna lie about it. There's sometimes where I see these things and I'm just like, but I don't get it. Like, why don't you just do this? But it's so hammered into like the societal norms that for them it's just not a fucking option.
Well, I think the cafes or the idol cafes and the rent a girlfriend type of services are still seen as kind of weird even there, but there are some uses to it, obviously, like because of what you said. Sometimes family members or you can't be straight up, you know, you can't be real all the time, so maybe you have that person just so you can actually like vent, basically.
Yeah. It's like
which kind of sucks, like you have to pay steps just to yeah, exactly. It's a backwards like loophole type of therapy, I guess.
Oh, it's interesting. But no, yeah, like
it is.
I definitely recommend the anime if you're looking for something like that, just like a change of pace kind of anime. I also got into like this new one that's coming out recently that's called Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, which is in that the vein of like sassy girl animes where
hold up. What is wrong with anime names nowadays, bro? Like
Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out.
I mean, Uzaki-chan's fine, but like wants to hang out, like
yeah.
I don't know. It probably sounds way cooler in the native language. It just sounds kind of like very slice of life
Uzaki wo
kind of thing.
asobitai in Japanese, but it literally translates to like Uzaki-chan just wants to like hang out or just wants to spend a day. And
well, that's not too bad. It just sounds very slice of lifey. But I'm talking like recently, especially in the isekai, I feel like they've been
these
been
really
running out of ideas from the
titles,
beginning.
like,
but
my life as a reincarnated social worker, but I work for a demon lord, like that kind of shit.
Yep.
My life.
There's
as a
no
left-wing...
joke. There's one. It's a manga. I don't think it's been adapted yet, but it's called like Reincarnated as a Vending Machine or something.
My life as a reincarnated left-wing extremist in a right-wing conservative kingdom.
Or like the mom isekai. Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah. Mom isekai.
The title for it is something weird, too. It's like In Another World with My Mom or something.
Yeah, and there's one In Another World, but with my smartphone.
Oh, yeah. I've seen an episode of that one. It was pretty ass.
In Another World, but with my fucking dragon dildo.
In Another World with 2 dicks.
In Another World where my student loan debts carry over. You can literally just do anything. It's a template.
You really could, yeah. In Another World where all my fingers became Pickle Rick!
Okay. All right. Well, podcast is over. This is a good thing that you guys came and listened to us, but that's... No, and I mean podcast is over, like there's no more episodes. The podcast is done.
Oh, damn it. Right, I said the magic word. I'm sorry. The end all be
end
all.
Of all things. That's how you ended 2020. That's how 2020 started. That's why we're in this shit. And you're over here perpetuating it.
Starts and ends with Pickle Rick memes. Damn.
But I started watching that new anime, which is like in the same... It's like this certain vein of anime where it's like sassy girl anime, where the main guy is usually this very reserved or no nonsense kind of guy, and then like the quote unquote love interest or the protagonist girl is very like sassy and likes to fuck with them. And that's like a new, like a recent brand of anime. The same one that's like that is Nagatoro, which is another one that I really like. So
it's like a bit of a role reversal, like a role play kind of thing.
Pretty much, you know, Nagatoro's like that. There's another one that's a little bit more wholesome that I'm forgetting right now. But like it starts like in middle school, and then there's like a spin-off where like they're adults, but I forgot what it was called. I'll remember later. But yeah,
I feel there's a lot of guys with that type of mindset though, so I could see why that genre is like, I guess, rising up.
I mean, it's for all of us little sub bitches like me who want to get domed by bad bitches. You know, that's
ain't nothing wrong with that, man. You know, everybody's got their preferences.
Nothing wrong with it. It is my life.
I'm glad that there's more representation or like more variety in these, like the narrative, I guess, or the way the characters are.
Yeah. It's a
because usually like you expect the opposite, you know. It's always the main guy character is like just this super badass who every bitch wants to be with for no reason other than he's the main character.
Other than they exist. For sure. Yeah, I get fucking tired of those too, dude. Like it's a breath of fresh air when they finally like spin the genre on its head. So I enjoy those a lot. And then moving away from anime for a bit, I actually finally got around to like convincing myself to paying for Amazon Prime Video. And I started watching a show that I've been wanting to watch a long time because I read the graphic novel, is The Boys.
Graphic novel. Oh, he said the naughty words.
I said the big brain word. I said the brain cell word.
Wait, The Boys, that's the one with like the superheroes, but it's like very real life, gritty, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I haven't seen it yet, but I've been wanting to watch it for a while too.
Fucking great.
I wish I watched it now so you could actually talk about it, because my friend's been telling me about it since it first aired. The first season. Like, they're on season 2 now, right?
No, seasons 2 starts, I think, soon. Later this year.
Oh, okay. So I could still catch up.
Oh, for sure. I think it's only like 8
Hey, y'all
episodes.
listening right now, catch up. You know, we'll have a future episode. The boys talk about the boys.
Yep. Dude, like, I got into it because, like, okay, the graphic novel itself, I wasn't really big on. Like, the graphic novel that it's based on. It's not that it's terrible, or bad, you know, it's just, like, it's very... The guy who wrote it, whose name I'm blanking on right now, but he also wrote things like Preacher, and he's done a bunch of like Marvel Max lines of the Punisher comic.
I didn't even know that it was a visual novel or a comic book or whatever.
Yeah, it's like
Garth Ennis.
Yeah, Garth Ennis, that's him. He's notorious for being like very anti superhero. Kinda, where he's like, he kind of like, he feels like the genre is oversaturated, so he's very against it. So,
well, like he clearly he's very passionate about the genre, but he feels like maybe it's been kind of
oversaturated,
beat down at this point. Yeah, exactly.
And so he kind of like wrote The Boys with the intention of just like kind of like, quote, the best word I can think of right now, but not exactly, is kind of just like, you know, quote unquote revenge porn against fucking superheroes. Because the original graphic novel is very, 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 very violent and dark and just awful. Like, there's pretty much no redeemable characters. Like, everybody is in some form of awful, especially the heroes. And so it kind of gets a little bit too indulgent in that violence and that dark tone over actual character development. So it's like a graphic novel that I read when I was younger, and I was just like, this is interesting, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea. But I still see the value in it. And so when I saw the trailer and I saw that tonally, it was a little bit more toned down in the like just like the straight up edge, you know, the hyper edge, and it was more into like telling a story. I said like, this looks interesting. And then I started seeing the reviews, and I'm just like, oh, this is very interesting. And now I finally got around to watching it, and I could confidently say that these are one of the rare occasions where the adaptation is leagues, worlds, leaps and bounds better than the source material.
So they kind of went away from that like edgy, super gory, like gruesome side and made it more on the story of the characters.
It's still gruesome and gory in some aspects, like very gory, but that's not what it's
have you ever seen Super, the movie with Dwight from The Office?
Yeah, you told me about
Ellen
it, and
Page?
I watched it.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that to me is like kind of a little bit too far into the edgy, gory side, you know, where you kind of feel like, I don't know, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. So I wonder if like that series kind of...
Well, I mean, just to put it into perspective, this is not spoilers because it's literally the trailer. It's like what this show is based off of. Like, the main protagonist, he's like this regular guy in this superhero society, and he has a girlfriend, and one day they're just like hanging out and talking about moving in together and blah, blah, blah. They're so in love, and just out of nowhere, mid-conversation, like, she just explodes.
What? What the fuck?
And like, you see that the guy is still holding on to her hands, but her entire body just got blown up. And when they panned the camera, it shows that it was actually one of the superheroes who was like super speed running and ran into her.
What
and
the
just
hell?
Eviscerated her completely. Like, she was just a splatter on the pavement. And
that's amazing.
And the guy doesn't even stop to say sorry or what happened. He just says, I gotta go, and keeps running. And just leaves this guy there with like his dead girlfriend.
Wait, were they like in the middle of the street?
They were on the sidewalk, and I think they said she was like...
I was picturing them in their apartment. I'm like, why did this superhero run through there?
They were like on the sidewalk, and she was standing on what would be equivalent of like the bike lane, or like the parking spot where cars usually park on a road. So not in the middle of the street. And this guy just right through her.
Barry Allen, what the fuck, man?
He's like the equivalent of the Flash. It's called A-Train.
Oh no!
And
that's not, dude. You already sold me just with that like synopsis. I don't know.
So it's gory in that level, but it's not gory where it's just like gore for gore's sake. There's always kind of like a reason for the gore, you know. Like, obviously, if you fucking, like, hit someone in the fucking head with a bat, it's just gonna cave in his skull rather than just bonk him. That kind of gory. But, but it's definitely, like,
just realistic, I guess you could call it.
It definitely focuses more on actually developing the characters and their motivations as to why they're doing these things. Same with the heroes, because in the original graphic novels, the heroes were pretty much just there. They were pretty much just the plot point or the MacGuffin for the normal people, quote unquote. They didn't really have any personal or much personal development. In this show, literally each hero has their development and their reasons why they're so shitty and like why everything is so shitty and shady and corporate in this society. And it's really good, dude. Like, I binged the whole thing. Usually if a show's like just decent or just only a little bit good, I kind of like watch it bit by bit. I could go through a few episodes and then leave the rest tomorrow. But when I really, really like something, I just binged the whole thing, and I did. And I recommend it, like, flat out.
I'm gonna check it out, man. I'm reading about it right now. Apparently, Seth Rogen is the executive producer on it. Yeah. Did you know this?
Yep.
And the other guy is Eric Kripke, who I recognize his name, and then I clicked it, and he created Supernatural, which I actually kind of like.
Yeah. Which is
at
really
least the first 5 seasons.
I hate Supernatural, so it's like even more.
No, I like Supernatural. I can only defend the first 5 seasons. After that, I don't. Nah.
Yeah. Thank God it's over.
Wait, is it?
I think so. Didn't it like end in season?
Bro, Supernatural's never gonna end. Are you kidding me?
I think it did end.
The series was renewed for a 15th and final season, which premiered in 2019. What? It's over?
Yeah, I knew it.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Bro, that's okay. Actually, I didn't know that.
But that's 10 full seasons from where you left off. So. Fuck
wow,
that,
how many episodes total do you think there were? I'm gonna check right now. Take a guess.
If I was 15 seasons off of it, forget that.
320 episodes.
Yikes.
Damn.
That's like some One Piece shit.
Yeah, that's a lot, bro. Wow.
But dude, Boys really fucking.
The Boys.
Good. If you're gonna
why
watch
is it called that? By the way, is there a spoiler to why it's called that?
Well, the group of the guys is called the Boys. They call themselves the Boys.
Oh.
Like, no, they don't actually call themselves the Boys. It's just like, obviously, since they're quote unquote friends, they just call each other, hey, I'm gonna hang out with the boys. So the show is called The Boys. Yeah.
Are there any girls in the Boys?
Spoilers. I can't tell you.
Damn it. All right, fine. I'm gonna check it out then.
It's really good, dude. I think you're really gonna fucking like it, and I can't wait to talk about it with you.
Yeah. Well, I've been rewatching My Hero recently, because Karen's finally getting into it.
Finally.
So I could use some more superhero-ness.
She got into My Hero before she got into JoJo. Interesting.
Well, okay, she tried JoJo multiple times, which is why I always say JoJo's not for everyone. But at the same time, it is for everyone. I think it takes a special timing. You know, there comes a time in everyone's life when they must accept JoJo.
Yeah, that's how I feel. The same way I feel about Monogatari. I got a friend of mine, Tisha. Like, I recommended the Monogatari series. It's another very just like...
I've heard of that. I haven't seen it, though.
So I have a friend, Tisha, like, I recommended JoJo to her. She got through the first season, but that was pretty much as far as she was going to go, so I gave up on that. But Monogatari is one of those shows where I keep recommending it to her and telling her, you gotta see it, you gotta see it, you gotta see it. I will not give up until she gives it at least a chance, because it's really good. But it's a very, what I would call, cerebral kind of anime, but not overly cerebral. Like, it's very much about, like, prose and symbolism. It's supernatural, but all the supernatural aspects are symbolic of, like, real world, either mental illness or like personality insecurities and stuff like that.
I'm looking at it right now, like the pictures, the character designs, and what you just described, it sounds kind of like Danganronpa or something. Kind
of. There's a lot of animes that have been super inspired by it. There's this one girl, there's one anime called Bunny Girl Senpai, or Rascal Doesn't Think of Bunny Girls is the full title. That it's literally just Diet Monogatari, and that's why it's good, because Monogatari is so good.
Diet.
So anything that like takes its inspiration from Monogatari is just like almost automatically good. But That's a show that I could very much easily say isn't for everybody because it's very dialogue heavy. It's super dialogue heavy, and all of the supernatural shit that happens is very symbolic. You know, like there's vampires and all that kind of stuff, but the vampires in the show aren't like quote unquote regular vampires, like, oh, if they go out in the sun they die, or they could only die by these certain memes. They're very symbolic vampires where it's just kind of just like, oh, I'm vampiric because I've given up on my personal life, so now I can't die. You know, it's very much like
kind of
that.
like the guy that makes Your Name in the other movie, I forgot already.
Yeah.
But where they have those like mystical elements, but they're not really there to like, they're not the main focus.
They're not
they
the
just
main
serve
focus,
to, like,
and they're not concrete. Like they don't have these real concrete laws that tie them down.
Exactly.
And I find that interesting because you start to question, like, how could these very outlandish and mystical things have any kind of laws binding them to what we understand? Like, obviously, these super, like, crazy things like vampires and phoenixes and zombies and all this stuff, if they have all these crazy and stupid abilities, how would we be able to even explain them? And I feel like the Monogatari is a show that doubles down on that. You could only explain them up to a certain level that we can understand. After that, they're a complete mystery. And the way they explain them is by those very, like, emotional mental barriers. Like, the first character you get introduced to, Senjugahara, is, like, her issue is that she's weightless. And that sounds weird right off the bat, right? Where it's just like, oh, it's a girl who doesn't weigh anything. Like, literally, the show starts with her, like, falling from, like, 20 stories.
Wouldn't she be able to fly?
Not really.
Or is she's still affected by gravity?
Yes,
but
she's very light. So she's, like, falling from, like, 20 stories, and the main character catches her super easily. And he's just like, wow, this bitch doesn't weigh anything. And then,
bro,
like,
I thought it... Imagine this is the start of an anime. The same thing you just described. Girl is falling through the sky. Just splats.
That's just how it starts.
And then just gets back up. And that's how it starts.
But,
oh, gosh.
But yeah, then later you find out that, oh, it's just like she has a lot of emotional turmoil, and the way she's decided to face it is like ignore it and pretend it's not there rather than actually facing it. And that's caused her to feel emotionally empty, which has translated her to being actually physically empty and weightless.
Is she like a normal human, though?
Yeah, she's a normal human.
Oh,
but that's how yokais and mystical creatures are explained in this world. They're just actual human concepts that are so powerful that actually take physical form and action.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting because it is kind of like, I don't want to say realistic because we don't know what it would be like, but if that type of stuff was real or like more concrete, I feel like you wouldn't be able to explain it that simply.
Exactly.
Like they're concepts that are beyond human comprehension. So like, yeah.
And that's what immediately hooked
I like
me.
that.
The art style immediately hooked me, and just like it has some of the best waifus in all of anime, like easily. So that was
best girl.
Hook. And it has some
Who's
of the best
girl?
openings. Man, best girls, like to this day, watching all of Monogatari, I still haven't decided who's best girl.
Damn it. I was going to look her up and shame you, but okay, fine.
There's one that I really like who's the monkey's paw, but I forget her name right now because I haven't watched Monogatari in forever. But her affliction was the monkey's paw.
Oh, what is that?
I think her name was Kambaru.
No, what's a monkey's paw?
The monkey's paw. You'd ever heard of just like, that you get a wish for each finger, and every time you make a wish, one finger closes, and when you use all of the wishes, something bad will happen.
Never heard of that, but damn.
Yeah, but her name is Kambaru.
Yeah, I see her now.
And I've always been super heavy into Kambaru, but I also love Senjugahara, and I also love Hanekawa.
I don't think I can quite roast you since I haven't seen all the other girls, but you know, decent choice, decent.
I mean, she's like the tomboy, like.
Yeah, she got the short hair, the Digimon shoes.
If I remember correctly, I think
a bandage on her arm for some reason.
Because she has the monkey's paw.
Good.
Like, if she takes out the bandage, she has, like, a monkey's hand.
Wait, what the?
I don't know if she has it anymore, because I haven't watched the more recent seasons. but like that's how she started out. Like under the bandages, she has like a literal monkey's paw.
Oh, what the hell? Okay, yeah, I see it.
But like, if I remember correctly, she was either a lesbian or bisexual. I don't remember which one. But she's very like the tomboy-y, very like she has zero boundaries. So she all the time like she invites the main character over, and she's just walking around her house naked because obviously it's her house and she doesn't give a shit. And she's also like super unaware of like of men in that way. So like for her, she doesn't give a shit if Araragi sees her naked.
Oh God, I think I looked up the girl, right? And one of the pictures is what you're describing. She's just like in her bathtub or something.
Yeah.
Titties out. and then I see underneath the caption says waifu pits. like armpits.
Yep.
What the frick?
The Monogatari
How
fan
far
base
are
is fucking
fetishes
weird,
gonna
dude.
go, man?
As far as anime takes them, man.
Oh, like thighs, I'm all for thighs. Feet, let them have their feet thing. But pits now, come on, dude.
Nah, I don't fuck with feet, homeboy.
I don't fuck with pits, dog.
But
Well,
yeah, Monogatari is a provider of many strange fetishes, and their fan bases double down on them very quickly. I'll tell you that much. But it's a very good show, but it's definitely a time sink because there's a lot of seasons and it's a very dialogue heavy show, and it's the kind of show you really have to pay attention to. So that's why I say it's not really for everybody because it's a commitment.
Mm-hmm. It sounds a lot conceptually like Durara.
Mm-hmm. It's very much like Durara,
which is also another show that I don't think everybody could get into. Mm-hmm. It's I don't have a good word for it other than it's just kind of strange.
It's cerebral.
It's a good. Yeah, exactly. It takes a little thought, and not everything is literal.
Yeah.
Like, there are supernatural things in it, but they're not always, like, very black and white.
And we don't mean it in a way of just like,
oh,
if you don't have big brain, you won't understand. No, we
you need a certain amount of IQ.
Yeah, there's certain animes that are very up their own ass, and that's obviously not for everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm very much able to say, like, hey, I watched the show because it's very cerebral and pretentious.
Oh yeah, like the whole you need a high IQ meme. It can be true sometimes, but for a lot of anime or shows, like it doesn't. It just means you have to pay attention.
Exactly,
like,
and it just because
there's
it's
a lot
cerebral,
of shows. I think a lot of people watch shows to like turn off their brain, and not these. This is not that type of show.
Exactly. And just because it's cerebral and brainy doesn't automatically mean it's good or a high art. There's a lot of cerebral brainy shit out there that's just straight up boring and uninteresting. So it's not even that case. But
now, wait. Speaking of turning off your brain, real quick, I'm on the Your Name Wikipedia page, and the last sentence says, "An American live-action remake set in the United States is currently in development."
Why though? Why
for Your Name? God,
it's like they never learned. It's like they never learned. Did they not learn from Death Note, dude?
They don't learn from any of them, dude. When is there unless it's Japanese made?
Even then,
Japan.
The Japanese
and
live
even
action
then, yeah,
was tend
exactly.
to not be good.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the Death Note Japanese version. It wasn't as good as the anime still, but it was at least, like, what's the word? Faithful. It was a faithful adaptation. Obviously, the American version, they're going to take their liberties and, like, make it so it fits with the Western culture, but, like, it never ends up being good, dog.
Yeah.
Like,
another case of the Japanese one not being good. The Attack on Titan live action Japanese movie is fucking garbage, dude.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that one is, at least for me, it was mainly because of the Titans themselves. Like, if they had focused and made it maybe more on just, like, the bond between Eren, Mikasa, and whatever. I always forget. Armin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like they tried to focus on, like, the action side instead. And obviously the budget wasn't there. So it just looked awful.
Even then, I'm caught up with Attack on Titan manga, and shit's just getting fucking out there, dude. I've lost a lot of interest in Attack on Titan because it gets really fucking strange.
Really?
Yeah, it gets really strange later down the line, like really strange.
See, because I feel like right now, at least for anime fans, we're all kind of on like a high where like season 3 feels like the peak. Season 2 was definitely a dip because they went more into like the political, like dialogue heavy side, which is good to learn about the lore. But I feel like you could skip season 2 and barely miss anything.
Well,
like season 3, they balanced it perfectly. The political
because season
dialogue
3 is when
plus
it started
the action.
to like pick up again. But the next season is definitely gonna get a lot. It's gonna be heavy on action, but it's gonna start getting very complicated, and it's gonna start getting very just like when it comes to the military stuff. It's very like who's who and who's actually in the right and who's actually tricking who, and it gets really complicated.
Oh,
and
man.
then in the actual Titan history part, it starts going fucking wacky, where you're just
That's
like,
the part where I'm like, I haven't read the manga, obviously, but from the hints that we've gotten in the anime in season 3, and I mean, I've read a little bit of the wiki, so I'm a little spoiled, and I know shit gets really wild. Like,
you have no fucking clue where it gets. There's this one point in the manga that didn't happen too long ago that finally revealed how everything works and how everything happened and why it happened. And me and Alex used to be big on Attack on Titan. We used to love it, the manga. Both of us read that chapter and we both went, I'm done with this shit. This is stupid.
oh, come on, bro. It's so sad.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Because, like, bro, I hope they fix it. Because, honestly, this is a thing where if it really is that bad and they change it in the anime, they could actually fix it. Like, maybe.
So.
I don't know.
Maybe so.
Obviously, I don't know what happened, but...
Like, I'm not gonna say anything because even if I do, you wouldn't be able to guess. But literally,
Yeah,
it was
no, exactly.
that chapter that I read and I saw they explained, oh, he was able to do this because the actual Titan power is really this because of this. And I went, fuck you. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
The only reason I'm, like, getting defensive or, like, kind of, like, upset, too, because if they nailed it, the ending, because apparently there's only going to be 4 seasons, right? Like,
yeah,
isn't the fourth the
manga's
last?
currently, like, in the final stretch.
It's about to end,
Yeah,
right?
it's in the final stretch.
Season 4 might be the last of the anime. So if they really nail it, I feel like the blunder in season 2 wasn't even that bad. Whereas as a whole, it could be one of the greatest of all time.
I don't think it's a thing that ruins its standing within anime. I just think it's a thing that kind of takes away from the very, like, you know, up at this point, people really enjoyed Attack on Titan because, yeah, it was fantastical. You had these weird giant Titan creatures and blah, blah, blah. But it didn't really get more complicated than that. I felt like the revelation that they gave it just kind of takes it from being what it was and leads it to something more along the lines that I would say maybe like, I don't know, Naruto or some shit like that. Where it gets absurdly fantastical. Where you're just like, how does that even make sense from a logical standpoint? Even within what you've established in the world, how does that make sense? How can that happen? And
that's, I think, why the show has such a big appeal, is because there is this, like, super crazy supernatural aspect, but it's kind of like what I was explaining earlier. Like, it serves as a tool to tell a good story rather than it being the story.
Exactly.
And I think, like, in season 3, they kind of started to focus the story on mainly the actual Titans themselves. And yeah, it does feel like, I feel that they could have or should have, like, stuck to just the smaller scale, like just the actual interactions between the characters, I guess. But I don't know. I have really high hopes for Attack on Titan. I don't know why. Maybe just because I was a fanboy when the first season came out.
That's how I was too. That's why, like, I'm not giving you any grief at all because I was you. I was you in the point in the manga where I'm just like, oh wow, this is really good. This is getting really good. And then they finally revealed the secret behind everything, and it kind of fell flat. It kind of just went like, oh, what? Like, it made it feel like it was very much like a very ex machina kind of thing where it's just like everything works because of this, and I'm not gonna tell you why.
Wait, so you mean past the part where, like, you see that there's actually more people beyond the island,
way
right?
Past that part.
Okay, because I know that was a big reveal for me, dude.
No,
that was freaking
awesome,
blew my
dude.
mind.
When they revealed that, I was just like, oh my god, this gets way bigger. This is a whole thing. I'm talking about finally the answer to all your questions.
I'm not
Hopefully
they don't Full Metal Alchemist it, dude, because FMA, I think right now it's still like among whatever you want to call it, like normie or like mainstream anime fans, FMA is like
the best of the best.
Probably one of the top 5. Yeah. I won't say which part. Like top 5 is good enough, right? And Attack on Titan could be up there too, as long as they don't, I just hope they don't FMA it in the end, where they, I guess it's different because FMA, the manga wasn't finished, and at least Attack on Titan is, but this would kind of be a reverse, if anything.
Yeah,
like,
but
if they can come up with...
Brotherhood, fixed it.
Yeah, exactly. Brotherhood was perfect, but they shrewded it up in the first adaptation, mainly because they didn't have the finalized.
The finalization of it.
Yeah, I guess they need to Brotherhood it and not, do the original.
No, but I feel like so far the anime has been very faithful to the manga. Obviously, it's shed some more unnecessary stuff, so it can move the story along, but it's been very faithful. But the manga, like the revelation, the answer to like what happened, what really happened between that other nation and this nation, and why they hate the Titans so much, and blah 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 blah, and how Eren has the abilities that he has. The answer was such a bullshit answer, where where you feel like the writer just said, it works like this. And he has no clue why it works that way. It just does. It's very much one of those answers.
Maybe he actually didn't. Maybe the writer actually had no idea. He wrote out this amazing story that everyone loved, but he never figured it out himself. So when finally the pressure got to him, the show has to end, I have to explain it, he still didn't have a freaking good explanation.
That's what it felt like. That's legit what it felt like. So it felt kind of like a bummer. And I feel like that might hold back Attack on Titan from not being remembered as one of the greats, but being remembered as one of the greats that also ended great.
And that's what I meant. For it to truly cement itself as one of the greatest of all time, it has to have a good ending,
I feel like the same thing happened, well, not really, no. Demon Slayer kind of falls into that vein.
Well, okay, we're not going to talk about this anymore.
It ended. I know Demon Slayer ended. I don't know if you know how it ended, because I don't know if you read the manga, but it ended. I really liked it. I liked the ending. I loved it. There are some people who disagree. But I feel that the reasons they disagree are very shallow. Where it's very subjective.
I can't speak on it because I haven't read it, but I mean,
but I won't tell you. But the reasons why there's two camps of saying, oh, the ending was good, or oh, the ending wasn't as good. Very subjective reason. But I feel like Attack on Titan has very much more of just kind of an objective, oh, this kind of fucks it up because of specific plot choice that the writer made.
So there aren't any defenders of it, or I mean, not many.
It's not that. There's definitely a side that goes just it's bullshit, but whatever. The rest of the show is great. And there's some people who are just no, it's bullshit, and now the whole thing sucks. I'm on the side of just it's bullshit, but I still like everything else that's going on. I'm on that side. Because even though that one choice was bullshit, and it does kind of make things feel a little bit ham-fisted, I still think everything else around it is great. But there's definitely that camp where people are just no, yeah, Attack on Titan's ruined.
As long as they don't Game of Thrones it, and to specify, because there could be a lot of reasons there could be a lot of ways to Game of Thrones it, but as long as they don't make a freaking incestual relationship.
Well, no, but they Game of Thrones it in a certain way, but I'm not going to reveal in what way.
Because honestly, to me, that is still the biggest, not even offense. It's just weird to me that freaking Jon and Daenerys were all cool with each other, even though they're aunt and
well, no, there's no creepy shit like that. But there definitely you'd be able to see where the story's currently going in the manga and kind of go just
I just don't want the author to end up being a freaking Eren Mikasa shipper, dude.
Oh no. I don't. Ships are long gone at this point. of where the
Yeah, they
stories are
got more
going.
important things to worry about.
Oh, you have no fucking clue. You have no fucking.
I cried, bro, and there was a certain death in season 3.
Dude, I'm laughing because
Man.
you have fucking no clue how just.
I love the show, man. It's legit. It's like anime Game of Thrones for a reason. That's what like it became known as.
Oh god, I can't wait. I can't wait until you get
I
to
don't
the
want
point.
it to end the same way, please.
I don't think it's gonna end bad, but it definitely reached a point where you're just like, okay, this has to end soon, or else it's gonna reach a point where it's gonna do 7 deadly sins, where like everyone was just
man.
like, just end the thing, stop adding more bullshit. But
Isn't that what's gonna happen with My Hero too? Like they announced the author said it was basically over, and then they renewed it for like 4 more seasons or some crap.
the author said it was close to being finished, and from where the manga is right now, it looks like it really is reaching the end.
I feel like the thing about My Hero though is you could easily Shippuden, like do a time skip and have grown up Deku and stuff, and that would be its own series.
I think
and that's how you
I
keep
think that would be
marketing
the
it.
ending. I think that would be the ending, the time
Yeah.
skip.
Well, if they want to keep it alive basically for marketing,
I guess
that would be
so.
the only reason.
Yeah.
Because if the author is done with it, he's like it's over, then that's good. That's like how it should be. But as we know these days, capitalism is very, very powerful, and it can make not just anime, but for anything, it can make games, movies, series extend well beyond their like intended lifespan.
That's why I really
And
appreciate
usually,
Demon Slayer, dude, because Demon Slayer is one
it's
of those.
either
that
it's either you end it off on a bang or you slowly watch it become a shell of its old self.
Demon
That's
Slayer
how
is
it
a little
happens with all
bittersweet
shows.
though, because like she had intentions of ending it, like, you know, and it was gonna be done. That's it. But she had to rush the ending a little bit because of like family issues, and like she actually has to like put
man.
her manga career, like her mangaka career, on an indefinite hold because of some stuff that happened with her family. So it's like it's pretty sad. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm actually, but I think she left behind a really good. If she never comes back, which I hope that's not the case, I think she left behind a really solid legacy. If she does come back, I'm super excited to see what she does next. Because
Didn't that happen with FMA too? It was a female writer, right?
Yeah.
And then that was like the only thing they did.
I think so.
I think
I'm
it
not
was. I don't
sure
know.
they've done anything afterwards. But
Well, I mean, I'm sure she did, but that was the only like really like bang blockbuster.
that's
you know?
usually how it is for mangakas, dude. Usually mangakas do one really big thing and then they're like either set for life or just like they don't really do anything afterwards. I mean, look at Akira Toriyama. What else do you know him for?
Dragon Quest. What do you mean?
He draws Dragon Quest. He didn't make Dragon Quest, okay?
Yeah, no, but I think, I mean, Toriyama is a special. He goes beyond it because if anything, like beyond Dragon Ball, he made a style, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No, he made a whole fucking
Like
cultural
there are
movement.
thousands of artists out there that want to draw like him.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
He made shonen what it is today. Like the dude created a movement. You know, he's like the Beatles of manga. Alright? He's like the Beatles fucking made rock and roll what it is.
I guess it's similar to JoJo too. Like you can look at if you see a Dragon Ball character, you know it's a Dragon Ball character. Same with JoJo.
Yeah.
And like that, no one can take that away. Like
Those are like animes.
people will say it looks similar.
Yeah, and those are mangas that are referenced all the time in other mangas and all that shit. So, you know, they're just like,
Dude, yeah, I was watching the Pokemon anime, and they have in the Sun and Moon season, which is last year's, they have a JoJo reference like
smack dab right
with
there.
Team Rocket, I think.
Yeah. Dude,
was really
I watched
nice.
a lot of slice of life animes that literally name drop JoJo and shit. And like even other things like Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter's so huge in Japan that I've seen so many animes where like a character's playing a video game or whatever, and it's just kind of like a very like obviously bootlegged Monster Hunter so they won't get copyright striked or anything.
Yeah. Didn't that happen at Dr. Stone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing, or he makes a reference to one of the potions or something.
Yeah.
I forgot.
And you know, it just goes to show, man. But no, I think honestly, I think Attack on Titan is gonna be fine. Demon Slayer, I'm excited. They finally showed the next trailer for the movie. Comes out in 2021.
Oh, dude, I'm so hyped.
So stoked
that's
for
like
it.
that's what's keeping me going right now, dude. Is Demon Slayer, My Hero, I finally finished season 4, and I'm kind of the hype for me for My Hero is going down a bit. I don't know. I'm still looking forward to see it, but
My Hero has a little lull in between. The same thing happens with Attack on Titan, that there's a certain part of My Hero that gets very talky dialogue-y and less action, and then it ramps up again.
Well, right now it just feels like in the last season, kind of felt like not filler, but it didn't feel
Nothing
like
happened. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you took it all out, it wouldn't really change much, even though major events did happen.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that definitely happens. But eventually it does pick up, and it picks up big and fast.
But those are like the ones, like Attack on Titan was always it. That's the one I was most hyped for. Then My Hero came along and kind of took over. And now, then Demon Slayer took over. And now it's like, I'm back on the Attack on Titan hype, bro.
And fucking ReZero second season started airing. Excited about that. A lot of returning animes. And
Dr. Stone season 2, right? Doesn't that come out this fall or something? Dr. Stone? When does that come out? I think
so. Soon it should be. I remember them announcing it. There's actually 2 shows that came out that aren't exactly mangas. They're manhwas. They're from webtoons. They're Korean. God of High School and Tower of God. Yeah, it's funny. They both have God in their title, and they're both Korean webtoons.
I've been hearing a lot about those. I didn't know they were Korean, though. That's interesting.
Yeah, they're from webtoons, which is like this place where like independent creators can just like upload their stuff.
Is that where One Punch Man came from?
No, One Punch Man is actually a Japanese guy, but it's pretty much the equivalent, but Japanese, where he just started uploading it digitally on the web and it got picked up. But so
it was like a webtoon, but not on the webtoon
exactly.
website, I guess. Because I know that's how Mob Psycho was too. They were all
Mob Psycho,
like internet series.
But
the manga.
They're actually pretty good. Tower of God is a lot more like we were talking about, very like kind of melodramatic and kind of a little bit dark and all that stuff, but it's still enjoyable. And Tower of God is straight up, the entire concept is a tournament arc. That's as Dragon Ball as you can get.
Wow.
And even the main character is literally just Korean Goku, dude. I'm not even going to lie to you.
So which one would you recommend more?
For you, God of High School.
Yeah. Because, let me find... I saw a hot take the other day on your favorite website. The Twat.
How is that my favorite? Okay, yeah, true. My favorite website that I visit every day. I have ad space on the Twat.
The Twat.
Yeah, my blog
I
name
can't
is
find it.
69.
Maybe he deleted it. Anyway, it was something like I forget. I want to know if it was Tower of God or God of High School, because the guy said like I'm still waiting for Tower of God to get good, like y'all said, or something like that.
It's probably Tower of God.
Oh yeah, it says, when is the Tower of God anime supposed to get good like you people said it was going to?
I think it's definitely an acquired taste anime. It's very mellow and melodramatic and cerebral and dark, and it's just kind of...
Wait, so which one did you recommend for me?
God of High School. That's the one that's more just very action fight, like fun kind of shit. It's literally Korean Dragon Ball.
Nice. I'm gonna check it out then.
All these people have these
I've been looking for something new.
Like really fucking bullshit abilities, and they don't even explain how or why. Like it's that kind of shit where it's just like balls to the wall, just fun and action.
Love it.
It's good.
By the way, Dr. Stone season 2 is not coming till January next year.
That's all right.
But they did drop a trailer, so it's happening. I'm excited.
I'm completely caught up on the manga, so. For me, it's just kind of just like, whatever. I'll watch it when it comes out.
I wonder if I'll ever cross over. I don't think I will, to be honest. Like, closest I got was that time when you were here, and I started reading the Pokemon Sword and Shield manga.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know. I mean, if anything was going to help me cross over, it'd be Pokemon, you know?
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. The only warning I give you is that once you do, you won't be able to stop. There's a lot of times where I'm watching an anime and I'm just like, I could not do it. I could just wait until the second season comes out.
Gotta resist the itch.
And I keep going and I fail every fucking time. But you want to know why I fail every fucking time? Because I usually don't have the confidence that they'll ever finish it. the anime. I've been in too many situations, and it mostly happens with rom-com and slice of life animes, but it's happened a lot with like shonen animes or even just regular like animes that I like, where they never finish the anime, and I could only rely on the manga. It happened with like Tokyo Ghoul and a whole bunch of other stuff, you know. So that's usually what motivates me to just read the manga. One, it's further ahead, and two, you could usually 90% of the time the manga will eventually finish. Plus, it always comes out on a weekly basis. So you don't have to wait for seasons or any shit like that. So that's like the other reason why I do it.
Yeah, I can see the appeal of it for sure. I guess I've just never... I don't know. I guess in my, like... Since I've been an adult, I guess, or even before then, I haven't really ever been much of a reader, you know, for comic books or novels. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get over the hurdle and read again.
There was a point where I used to read a lot of comic books, but even then I never considered myself a heavy comic book reader, because I would usually just find one issue or series and I would read it intermittently. Manga was the first time where I was just like, oh shit, I read this shit like the day they come out. Because I just like, this isn't the case for every anime adaptation, but very commonly anime adaptations tend to leave out a lot of detail and a lot of other things that flesh out either characters or storylines a lot more in the manga. And that's why I got into manga reading a lot more too, because usually they dive a little bit more into the headspace of characters and plot points with characters.
Dude, it's literally like memes. Like, you know how when a meme is shared too many times, by the end you're just like, you're so sick of it, and it's like, it looks like 3 pixels are just destroyed. That's literally from manga to anime, and then you get to the Netflix adaptation.
Yep, that's pretty much it. I love that meme too, where they put like manga, anime,
Netflix adaptation is just
Yeah, it's just fucking awful. But no, like, hey, it's just like, usually to get into manga, you just gotta find a story that you're really interested in, and you really just can't contain your interest of just knowing what happens, even if it's just a little bit further.
I was really close with Demon Slayer, dude. The one thing that keeps me from doing it is I really appreciate the actual animated parts, like that fight with Rui, where he does the fire spin.
Yeah.
And that type of stuff, I feel like the manga, it'll look cool, but I don't know. I guess it's not worth it spoiling the story for me just to see that one. I don't like.
No, and that makes
maybe
perfect
one
sense.
day. I was really close with Demon Slayer, so maybe one day.
That makes perfect sense. Like, for me, if I wasn't already an established manga reader, I would be right there with you, because the manga does have really good art, but the art style is very different. Ufotable has a very particular art style. The manga art style it's kind of like, it's still like very like stylized in anime, but she did her best to replicate I forgot what it was called. You know, that Japanese art style, that very old Japanese art style that they would do on tapestries and shit, that had a particular style.
I don't know what it's called either, but the traditional like feudal type of look.
Well, yeah, it tries its best to replicate that kind of look, especially with the demons and with the elemental abilities. Like, the water that Tanjiro does in the manga looks very much like that one painting of the waves.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because now when I think about it, even in the anime
that's how
adaptation, like the water, they make it look like those old Japanese scrolls.
And even the
or
fire,
like the
they do it
traditional
that way.
tattoos even,
It's
like Okami. Literally like Okami.
Yeah, exactly, like that, like Okami. It's very much that way.
You know what I think might be the one that makes me cross over, though, is probably JoJo. Because I feel like that's one where the manga's on like part 8, right? Or 9 even.
Yeah, it's on part 8.
Well, no, I think they're on 8.
Part 8.
And it's going to take them like, 5 or 6 more years to catch up. So that might be the one.
One Punch Man is another really good one to do it, because the manga art in One Punch Man is ridiculous, dude.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that the manga artist himself did the One Punch trading buff just for his drawing.
Dude, it's wild. So sometimes I look at his manga panels and I'm just like, motherfucker, how long did this take you? Like,
Bro, he's every day he wakes up, he draws Saitama 100 times.
Dude, it has to be. It has to be, dude, because like the way he does scale and like distance and detail and foreshortening and perspective, he does all of it in like in almost every panel, and it's sometimes it's overwhelming.
It's a masterpiece.
There are some times where I'm like, I'll stay stuck on one panel for 10 minutes trying to pick it apart and just go like, oh my god, look, he even drew this tiny ass building and he drew all the windows on it, and like, where you're just like,
fuck, yikes. Man, it's like, why go to the museum when I got this book right here? You got a million Mona Lisas in one book.
I'm telling you, dude, the dude's a fucking savant.
That's amazing.
But
I'll have to check it out. You read it all online too, right?
Yeah, I read it all
like
online.
I mean, because like, especially when you don't live in Japan, it's not exactly easy to get a physical copy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's really hard.
I feel like unless I lived there, I don't know, I would probably never actually collect the manga, because that's so much too, dude. I've seen people's like manga, like you've seen my figure collection. It ain't nothing compared to.
Oh yeah.
I had like manga.
Your figure collection is fucking wild. I wish I could do that shit, dude. But when I think about like my budgetary constraints and all that shit, I'm just like, maybe I'll wait until I'm fucking rich or something.
No, I've been thinking like lately. I mean, well, not even thinking. Just recently, like I've cut down a lot. Like I used to get one like every month. Now I get maybe once a year.
God damn. Me, I've always told myself.
Like this year, I got I pre-ordered the Sekiro one. That's about it.
Ooh,
I want the Sekiro figure. Yeah, I don't know when it comes out. I feel like I pre-ordered it forever ago.
I mean, imagine it's oh wait, like it's not out yet. It's just a pre-order. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it came out in Japan. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it, but yeah, it definitely, I've cut back on it because, I mean, yeah, like once you start tallying up the numbers.
Yeah, you realize exactly how much you spent. But sometimes I don't like to do that either, because it's just like, it's something you genuinely enjoy. So it's not something you genuinely want to tell yourself like, man, I wasted a lot of money on this and feel bad about it. Obviously, it's good to be conscious about that fact. Like, you know, yeah, this cost me a lot. But that should encourage you more to like value it and take care of it. But also tell yourself like, hey, it's perfectly fine if I don't do one every month, maybe like one every few months, or like 2 or 3 a year.
Now it's more like I gotta treat myself, you know, because I'm not gonna get them as often, but I know that when I do get one, like I know what, well, especially because I mainly just focus on Figma and Good Smile stuff, so I know it's gonna be quality, and it's like always a joy to open them, dude. I don't know, I've always, since I was a kid, I get like a little high from that like new plastic smell.
You fucking junkie. You fucking weird little junkie. You action figure junkie.
Fucking weebs, dude. What's wrong with us?
Well, for me, I've always told myself if I ever get into any kind of hobby that's like that, I've always wanted and been interested into getting into Warhammer.
Bro, I was literally about to say that too, because I watched a video yesterday.
Cosmonaut.
From the Cosmonaut. Yep.
I didn't
know anything about this.
You didn't? Like, I knew from beforehand. Like, I've always known about it.
I figured that you would know because you're already into, like, D&D and shit.
You know, obviously, yeah, that's exactly why. Because I want to do it for D&D as well. For, like, painting the figurines and all that stuff. But with Warhammer, it's a little bit more circumstantial because, like, it's a bit more expensive. And to actually play it, it's not like D&D. D&D, we could get on like fucking Discord and play it on Roll20. To actually play Warhammer, it's physical. You have to be with another person and play it that way. And none of my friends are really into that kind of stuff. Maybe I could get them into that stuff, but yeah. But I haven't been able to justify putting the money into it exactly because I know I wouldn't be able to play it. And I wouldn't get the full value out of it. I would still get value out of building the figurines and painting them. But I'd still feel guilty of just like, oh, but I'm not even using these. So that's something I've always wanted to get into. And then the other day, Cosmonaut made his video on it. And I was just like, God, now this is just making me want to do it even more. Because he's right.
I felt the exact same. Because I'm like, I already collect figurines. And I used to love building Gundams. And obviously, I've always liked Lego and Bionicles and shit. So, like, the fact that you can actually build your own, like, character. You can even make your own custom character. Like you said, like D&D, you could probably mix and match pieces from different sets from Warhammer or the other game they made.
And then
I forgot what it's called.
The fact that you could choose any faction and make your own armies, it's just, I've always been super into it, but I've never had a proper justification to get into it, but maybe one day. Maybe.
I don't know if I will, because I feel like I'd be the type that would be super into the building and customizing and painting part and then not even ever play the game.
I mean, if you could afford it and do it, you might as well. For me, it's a situation I haven't done it because it's kind of a hard sell for me because I would also want to play it. But even me, I'd kind of be in that same vein where I'd spend a lot more time building them and painting them and then only just occasionally play. That would pretty much be me.
Even if you're super into it, I mean, especially with the Rona now, I feel like you wouldn't be able to play that often anyway.
Unless I get one of my other friends into it, and that would be difficult.
Even if shit was normal, I feel like, unless you're in a club or like, I don't know, there's a card store near you, like, you're probably not going to play it very often.
And it would be difficult anyways because, like, we would have to mostly order that from the States, and right now that would take forever. Like, shit takes forever to get here.
Shit's on lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, I ordered that wooden mug, the one I showed you. It was supposed to get here, I think it was like July 6th, and it ended up getting here like July 23rd. So it was like a full 2 weeks delay almost. So
damn,
I don't want to imagine that for like a whole bunch of individual pieces and tiny intricate shit.
Oh, that would suck, dude. Especially if you're doing like kit bashing where you want different pieces from different like figures.
Yeah.
And imagine you have everything, but there's like one still left. And it's like 3 weeks away. You'd be like, fuck.
That would fucking blow me. But we'll see. I mean, maybe one of these days I'll be financially stable enough to drop $800 into making a 2,000 point army.
Jeez.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll look more into it. I don't know if I'll ever actually get into it because I at least go to things like PAX where I've seen people always play that. I never knew it was Warhammer, but I always see like the tables with the really detailed figures and it always kind of interests me. But
it just looks so cool.
I guess because from an outside perspective, you want to think like, oh, fucking nerds. But like low key, I actually do want to be like that. I want to join in.
But yeah, I'd say if anything, if you're gonna start anywhere, start with D&D, for sure. Like that would pretty much kind of gauge your interest a little more. But who knows?
Yep.
Maybe that's.
And then I make my D&D character. Then I'll be like, well, I need a physical character, obviously. So
it'd be easy as shit for you, dude. Especially since you live in Chicago, you could literally just make one in Hero Forge, and they'd probably send it to you in like within a week.
Bro, yeah, there's probably like a card store nearby too that people play like every week. Maybe not right now, but
and either way, you could just play with me through Discord. Maybe there's something in the works right now that might enable you to do that, but I'm not sharing any secrets. But no, yeah, for sure. However, we have gone. I think this is probably going to be our longest podcast yet.
This is the weebing out, dude.
Yeah,
that's what
we
call it.
Weebing out podcast, like, for sure. But it was.
Well, we know that the audience are probably like 90% weebs too.
Yeah,
so
for sure. I feel like they'll enjoy this one. But it was fucking good, man, dude. I've been fucking. I've really been wanting to do a podcast just to talk and like, God, it's been fun. I enjoy doing this shit. I really like. If there's anything that really is just like a combination of like content, but at the same time like good for just like chilling out and letting some steam out, it's the podcast. I love doing it. So it was good to finally do it again after 3 weeks.
Hey, blame the fucking BNB that took 3 weeks to send you your charger.
I'll blame myself for leaving it there. How about that?
But hey, now that you got it, man, more podcasts coming up.
Temtem.
We got more Mario coming up.
Temtem,
we got
that's
true.
Again.
We can finally play that.
That new expansion, so be excited for that. And we're finally getting to finalize the secret little project that we've been talking about. We're finally there. It's gonna hit there, so look out for that, homies. But we'll grace your sweet little weeb ears on the next episode of the podcast.
I love you.